So Forest have gone from one extreme to the other here, from signing 22 players in one summer to no players 5 days before the first pre-season friendly. I'm not being too critical at all, because I do like the fact that we're actually thinking it through, not just panic buying like we were a little bit last summer. Of course, this is a transfer roundup. Each week, either Monday or Tuesday, I'll be doing these videos, so please stay tuned to everything coming up on this channel by liking and subscribing to Rads if you're new. First of all, we'll start with off the pitch. In the news that Stephen Reid has returned to Nottingham Forest coaching staff, something that I am really quite pleasantly surprised about. Didn't expect this one to happen at all. He was a major reason why Forest got promoted in the 21-22 season, and I do feel we really missed him last year. I know we can't really talk too much about the coaches, it's a bit different talking about the players, but I think Stephen Reid was missed. Being as we're talking about coaches, let's talk about Adam Burrows, who's just joined Nottingham Forest as the head of strength and conditioning. I wouldn't normally mention this, but I feel it's important given the fact that we had so many injuries last season and Forest are quite clearly trying to change that going into this season. This is a man that was part of Chelsea's fitness staff when they won the Champions League 2 seasons ago. So I think that is something to be pretty excited about. And one more thing in terms of players at the club currently, Joe Wall and Ryan Yates are set to be signing new contracts, or Forest are in the process of giving them new deals. Both academy lads, the captains of the club. That is brilliant news to see them two being signed up, hopefully in the near future. And manager of DC United, Wayne Rooney, ex-Ram of course, who famously kept Derby County in the Championship and relegated them. He has confirmed that Lewis O'Brien will most likely be returning to Nottingham Forest this season, which I think is only a good thing. I think Lewis deserves a chance to get another chance at Nottingham Forest. Done very well out in the MLS, played 18 times, got 1 goal and assist, but overall it's a player that was kind of mistreated last season. I didn't talk about this name last week because I thought it was gone. I didn't think it was going to be happening, but I'm very happy to see fresh reports about Renan Lodi potentially making a permanent move back to Nottingham Forest. Our Brazilian lads are going to be in for a bit of a shock when they see Lodi turning up to Forest training again.
Hello. Hang on, mate. Fancy seeing you here.
But being serious, I'm absolutely buzzing about this. There's been reports that we could potentially get him for as little as 13 million, which in the world of football is a total bargain for someone as good as Lodi. Honestly, if that is how much we actually pay for him, I'll be delighted with that. Obviously, absolutely integral last season at left back. With Omar Richards coming back into the fold, it'll be interesting to see how left back goes. Will Toffolo be loaned out if Lodi comes back to the club? I think he probably will be. There have been reports that Lodi was linked with Marseille over in France, but those reports already seem outdated because Lodi probably won't be going there. So that has been reported, but it's unlikely to happen already. Dean Henderson. Can we stop talking about this because I want it to be done? With Manchester United close to signing Andre Onana from Inter Milan and David De Gea confirming that he will not be staying at Old Trafford, this is going to be a massive step in the right direction to Henderson leaving Man United. And he's not going to be travelling with Man United's squad for pre-season. Some reports, unfortunately, again saying 30 million, but at this stage, we just need to pay it. We need to get this deal sorted out. How integral he was in a Forest team that was struggling when he was initially playing for us, and that's the thing. Imagine Henderson now playing for Forest in the side that ended last season. I think it'd only be stronger. As ever with this kind of video, it is ever changing. There's always reports happening, and there's one player that's since come out since I recorded this that I really feel needs to be included, and this is Cole Palmer. No idea how likely this is to happen, but it is a rumour that I really find interesting. Just won the Under-21s World Cup with England alongside Morgan Gibbs-White. I think this would be a great bit of business. Whether it be a loan or permanent or not is unknown, but we need an attacking midfielder, kind of winger player, and that would be a great player in Cole Palmer. And again, Steve Cooper is great with working with young players. Who better than Cole Palmer from Manchester City? He's just won the treble. He's going to be on a high, but I'm sure he wants to play some regular football too. Kelechi Iheanacho continues to be linked with Forest. 26 years of age striker, of course. This is being reported by Own Goal Nigeria. I'm mentioning this again because there have been fresh reports that this one is going to be happening and he will be coming to Forest, making the short journey from Leicester. I don't want to repeat myself too much because I mentioned it last week, but I'd be a big fan of this move. Linking up brilliantly with Taiwo, Premier League experience, wouldn't cost that much either. I think it'd be a good move. And if we look at the stats of how many starts he's actually had in his career each season, he's never started any more than 16 games in a single season, and he's still put up some very good numbers. Another player that I've mentioned in the past, and it has been again reported that it could be happening, is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Chelsea are even willing to sacrifice his contract so he can be moved on for free, which is a bit bizarre really, but they clearly want to get rid of him, so that's only a boost to us. Apparently Forest have had positive talks with Chelsea in the last week, and that will be something that will go in our favour to making this one happen. Let's just hope it does, because I think it'll be a good move. A young player that has kind of tailed off a little bit in his career, but if anyone can get the best out of him, I think it is Steve Cooper. A bit more of a niche player now, and a player that I don't know as much about. Alexander, I'm going to need to go to Google Translate for this. Alexander Djiku of Strasbourg, a centre-back, 28 years of age, has been linked with Forest in the last week. He is linked with Galatasaray and Fenerbahce over in Turkey, but Forest are also showing an interest, and he won't cost a thing because his contract has expired at Strasbourg. However, Strasbourg still want to try and keep the 28-year-old defender. He's consistently played football at the highest level in France since 2015, playing 20 to 30 times. He played 30 times last season for Strasbourg, and he even went to the World Cup with Ghana last November. A useful thing is that he can play at right back. He's played there 29 times in his career. I don't think he'll need to play at right back because we've got so many of them, but it is just something to mention. And he's also played 12 times as a defensive midfielder, so he has got versatility to his game. I'd be lying if I said I knew much about him as a player, but it does appear like he'd be a pretty good option as depth more than anything. Okay, I normally can at least attempt to pronounce some names, but I don't know how to say this.
Piero Hincapié. Piero Hincapié.
Piero Hincapié. We'll just go with that. If you want top quality professionalism, then that is the Rads YouTube channel, because I can't speak Spanish. I can't pronounce his name, but he is a man in high demand. Real Madrid, pretty big football club, have been linked with this guy as recently as just a few weeks ago. Bayer Leverkusen centre-back, 21 years of age, played every game for Ecuador at the World Cup. 27 appearances for Ecuador, and he's only 21 years of age. Can play at left back. He's played there 33 times in his career. Played 30 times last season, scoring once and assisting once. Played regularly in Europe, the Champions League and Europa League for Bayer Leverkusen. Spurs and Newcastle also interested, so there's lots of good stats there. Don't really know what he's like as a player, but that is pretty encouraging, and he's only 21. However, 34.5 million asking price seems an awful lot of money to spend on a centre-back that wouldn't necessarily be a starter because of Felipe and Niakate, unless Forest are planning to make Felipe more of a rotation player because of his age. Only I think Felipe still needs to be playing regularly in the side, monitoring a little bit more than last season because of his age, but still, that's a lot of money to spend on someone unless we're going to play three at the back. But what does that mean for Joe Wall and Scott McKenna and Willy Bolly? But there are a few rumours out that are circulating. Sam Surridge being linked with Leeds. I mentioned last week he was linked with Ipswich. Leeds would be a higher end club for him to go to. I kind of feel like he needs someone in the middle, not a relegated Premier League side or not a League One promotion side, maybe just a mid-table pushing top 10 championship side would probably suit Surridge very well. He's unlikely to play much this season. I think a loan or permanent transfer is best for him. As much as I like Surridge, it's probably best for him really to move on. 2 million would be the asking price, so it's probably not going to be that difficult to see him leave. Now this is a man that had already left the club, but it is worth mentioning. Cafu has officially got a new club. He's joined Rotherham United in the Championship for free, a central midfielder of course. I've got a lot of respect for Cafu. I did a little montage in a short format the other day when I found out the news of him joining Rotherham, and yeah, he should be a very, very good player for them. Not to disrespect Rotherham, but I feel like he should play a lot of minutes for them. And he's signed a 1-year contract. A lot of respect for him. He's never the most flashy player in the world, but he was a decent player and he had a lot of heart. And I'll mention it one more time, Brennan Johnson, of course, continuing to be linked with Brentford and Aston Villa. 30 million was, of course, apparently, reportedly bidded for Brennan the other day, but that looks like it's definitely not going to happen for that price tag. Brentford still remain confident that they can get Johnson, despite being so far away from where Forest value him at. But what does concern Forest a bit more is Aston Villa's interest, because Aston Villa have European football. They are a bigger club than Brentford, if we're being entirely honest. So that is probably a much more lucrative move for him to make. But still, Forest probably want about 50 million for Brennan Johnson. Would you accept it? Probably yes, for that amount. But I don't want to see Johnson leave. I want him to stay at the club for as long as possible. He's only going to get better. That is it for my transfer roundup this week. If I've missed anything, then please make sure you let me know in the comments below. I try my best to get as many players involved as possible. I kind of base it off how likely I think it is in the current moment, and that is what I did for this week. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe to Rads if you're new. And of course, this weekend, for the first time in about 6 weeks, there'll be a match day vlog for Notts County, away from home. Already got my ticket. Very much looking forward to that. It'd be good to go to a game again. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all my content by liking and subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you soon, everyone. Up the bloody Reds.